from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, Text 55. So there's no verse on the board today, so I'll just read by myself and we can recite word by word and translation together. Nahi kamasched iha mrityu janmano Saririnaamastu tadatma karmabhi Yasneha pasho nijasarga vriddhaye Swayam kritaste tamimam vivrischasi. So we can recite word by word together. Na, not, he, indeed, Kramaha, chronological order, Chet, if, Iha, in this material world, Mrityu, of death, Janmano, and of birth, Sharirina, of the conditioned souls, who have accepted material bodies, Astu, let it be, Tat, that, Atma karmabi, by the results of one's karma, fruited activities, Yaha, that which, Sneha pashaha, bondage of affection, Nitya sarga, your own creation, Vridhaye, to increase, Swayam, personally, Krita, made, Te, by you, Tam, that, Imam, this, Vivrischasi, you are cutting. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And kind of repeat. My Lord, you may say that there is no law, that the father must die, in the lifetime of his son, and that the son must be born, in the lifetime of his father, since everyone lives and dies according to his own fruitive activity. However, if fruitive activity is so strong that birth and death depend upon it, there is no need of a controller or God. Again, if you say that a controller is needed, because the material energy does not have the power to act, one may answer that if the bonds of affection you created are disturbed by fruitive action, no one will raise children with affection. Instead, everyone will cruelly neglect his children. Since you have cut the bonds of affection that compel a parent to raise his child, you appear inexperienced and unintelligent. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. One who has taken to Krishna consciousness, devotional service, is not affected by the results of karma. In this verse, karma has been stressed on the basis of karma mimamsa philosophy, which says that one must act according to his karma and that a supreme controller must give the results of karma. The subtle laws of karma, which are controlled by the Supreme, cannot be understood by ordinary conditioned souls. Therefore, Krishna says that one who can understand him and how he is acting, controlling everything by subtle laws, immediately becomes freed by his grace. That is the statement of Brahma Samhita. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. One should take to devotional service without reservations and surrender everything to the supreme will of the Lord. That will make one happy in this life and the next. Om Jnana Kanana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the karma and mimamsa philosophy. And that's actually interesting about this karma mimamsa philosophy, because we also have an incident in later on in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, where Krishna himself, he advocates the karma mimamsa philosophy, in the sense that the cowherd men in Vrindavan, they arrange a sacrifice for Lord Indra. But Krishna, he advises them, well, not to perform this sacrifice, which is according to the Vedic, you can say, instructions, that one should perform sacrifice to Lord Indra, to thank him for the supply of rain. So that's a tradition, and it's been going on since very long time. This Indra Yagya has been going on in the cowherd community, so they do it out of tradition. And they're about to do the Indra Yagya, and they have arranged the required paraphernalia. They have amassed all the things to be offered in this Yagya, and everything is ready. But then Krishna says that why should we satisfy Indra? Why not just work hard? Why not just give importance to the things that's in front of us? You know, we have the cows here, and we have the Govardhan here, and we owe them thanks. The Govardhan is supplying so many things, minerals, and is giving shelter and pasturing it also. And the cows, they give us milk, so we are indebted. We should give thanks to our immediate personalities, which we are indebted to. So like that, Krishna, he persuades Nanda Maharaj that instead of doing this for Indra, which we cannot really see, you know, did anybody see Indra? Like, where is he? You know? Then let's focus on what's in front of us, you know, and you know, give the respect and worship there. So of course we know that Krishna, he has a purpose, because Krishna, he doesn't believe or have the idea that that Indra doesn't exist. He has a plan behind. He has a plan by speaking this karma mimamsa philosophy, because he wants to purify Indra, and also he wants to glorify Govardhan and the cows. So as we know that Krishna, he has many purposes to fulfill by one action, by one particular action. This karma mimamsa philosophy, well, mainly it's materialistic, because it only takes account of what's in front of us, you may say. It doesn't, it's a bit short-sighted, you may say. And so here we hear that the wife of Maharaj Chitraketu, she uses some arguments that's, like, it seems pretty straightforward logic. It's interesting that one thing, if you read the translation again, what she says here, it says that, "My Lord, you may say that there is no law that the father must die in the lifetime of his son, and that the son must be born in the lifetime of his father." So this is rather interesting, that the son must be born in the lifetime of his father. So usually a son is born in the lifetime of his father. There may be cases, well, okay, the father may be killed during pregnancy, that is there. But it seems that nowadays, in the modern days, you don't really need a father. You just need a credit card, and you can buy yourself, a pregnancy. So now it seems that these laws definitely, this is a side mark, that these are not, really followed much. She says that since everyone lives and dies according to his own fruit of activity, if fruit of activity is so strong that birth and death depend upon it, there is no need of a controller or God. So this is basically the karma mimamsa philosophy, that there may be a God, but the force of our karma, it is so strong that he can't do anything. What you do, you'll get the result. And the result depends upon your activity. If you don't do the activity, you will not get the result. So if your result absolutely depends upon your activity, then what's the importance of God? If he doesn't give anything for free, so to say. If you have to do the work in order to get the result, and you don't get the result unless you do the work, then the work is so strong, and everybody depends on the work so much. So the God is like a side factor. So that's the idea here. That's the understanding of the karma mimamsa philosophy. So what is not taken into account is that the description of the Lord behind the scenes is the one who gives the power to the senses to act in order to get the result. So we are dependent on the Lord, which the Bhagavad Gita Krishna, he will say in the Bhagavad Gita, "I am the ability in man." So what the karma mimamsa philosophy doesn't take into account, that power to execute karma in order to get the result, that power is given by Krishna. And that is why, even though it may seem that, okay, we have to do the karma to get the result, the karma mimamsa philosophy does not take into account where does the power to execute the karma come from. And it neglects to recognize that source of power to execute the karma. As Krishna says, "I am the ability in man." So, as we take it, if Krishna didn't supply the ability, he didn't become the ability and give us the ability to execute the karma, then we would not be able to perform the karma and we would not be able to get the result. We may take it that simple. If Krishna didn't supply us the energy to open our eyelids in the morning, we would not wake up and we would not be able to go to work and earn money to use it for support of our family, whatever we may have a desire to maintain in this world. So that is the Bhagavad Gita understanding, that even though the karma, it seems very powerful, and seems you don't get anything for free, you have to do the work. The Bhagavad Gita shows that there is a supply of life force, life energy to perform a karma, and that's where God comes in the picture, and that's where the thanks come in the picture. That's why the gratitude needs to come in the picture. Otherwise, it is unintelligent. It is short-sighted. We only see the karma. We don't see what's behind the karma, what's powering the karma, who is powering the karma, and that is of Krishna. So we can read a bit further here. And again, if you say that a control is needed because the material energy does not have the power to act. This is energy. Who's making the material energy act? Who's supplying the energy for the material energy to act? One may answer that if the bonds of affection you have created are disturbed by fruited action, no one will raise children with affection. So here she's saying that, okay, although you are supplying the power for us to execute our karmas, then still, if the bonds of affection you have created are disturbed by fruited action, no one will raise children with affection. So it's another argument. She's coming up with another argument here. She's saying that, okay, we have children and we become attached to them. And we are performing our karmas. So then, by the force of that karma, if you perform karma, you will get a result. And if that result is such that the connection with your children is cut, if we are allowed to perform karma is such that we will be allowed to perform it so that the bonds with our children are cut abruptly, then if your system is like that, then no one will really be very affectionate to the children, because they know at any time this bond may be cut. So why should I invest my emotional energy into this relationship if I know at any time it can be cut? So she's criticizing the Lord. She's criticizing Krishna actually in this way. And this is actually an interesting point for us, because there's a practical instruction in that. Because as we know, the dealings between the Vaishnavas, they have an instruction, like Rupa Goswami, he's written this, he's compiled this neck of instruction. He says there's loving exchanges, like these relationships. There's put importance and emphasis on the relationship between the devotees, and he says there are 6 loving exchanges that are there. So as we know that in spiritual life also we may have the tendency to think that it's all temporary. Whatever we see here in this is the material world. We're in the material world, is Dukkalayam Asasvatam. It's a place of misery, and Asasvatam, it is temporary. So really, we can't invest ourselves really much in this world, and we tend to become withdrawn. That's actually the impersonalist, you can say, darshan of life, is that because everything here is temporary, it is mithya, it is false, like Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. We don't really invest ourselves in the material world. We fully invest ourselves in the Brahman, Brahma Satyam, and we tend to allow ourselves to neglect everything else. So this is a practice, because we may actually develop this, because we also hear the same thing. We hear Dukkalayam Asasvatam, we hear Anitam Asukam Lokam, like that. So it may be some tendency for us, also because we may also be impersonalist from previous lives. As we know that if you connect yourself with spiritual life, you get the chance to practice spiritual life again in the next life. And they say that impersonalists, Krishna says, at last they attain me. So it may be that we are harboring impersonalistic tendencies, and we may have this mentality, have this idea that why should we invest ourselves in this material world, in this temporary relationship, when Brahma is Satyam and Jagan is Mithya. So as we know, that Rupa Goswami, he is given the directions for us, and he says that in relationships, particularly, they should be governed by loving exchanges. So we should be careful to analyze whether we are carrying on an impersonalistic, you can say, view in how we relate to each other and how we deal with devotees, or if we're doing proper exchanges with devotees based on the instruction of Rupa Goswami. And it's very subtle. Sometimes we may not even see it. How we allow ourselves to be impersonal or act in such in a way that we will make devotees feel that we don't have time for them and we don't care for them, like that, it is very difficult even to spot how we may act impersonal, and that's why we need actually help in order to spot impersonalistic tendencies within ourselves, so that we can balance properly. How do we cultivate loving relationships based on Rupa Goswami's teachings, to give and accept prasadam, to give and accept gifts, and to open one's mind in confidentiality, and in the same turn listen in confidentiality. These are the 6 loving exchanges. So how we can have a community of devotees where these loving exchanges, they are flowing freely, and the members of the community, they all feel cared for and protected and well situated. That's a lot of emphasis in put, and I was just in Sridhar Mayapur and to participate in this called ISKCON Leadership Sangha, ILS. And they have different, you can say, themes which is dealt with, which there are seminars on each of the themes, like the broad themes that are there in the seminar or the Sangha. And one of the themes during the ILS is devotee care, and actually found that this was emphasized, I think, even more than the other themes. This was really emphasized. And we have sannyasis like Radhanath Swami, Jayapataka Swami, and there's others also which try to, you can say, emphasize this devotee care aspect, because this is quite needed. Because this environment or atmosphere that the devotees, they feel cared for, and they feel that people really you say, I feel in my place here, and I feel that I feel myself protected, like that. Then we will have a tendency to be dynamic, and we will have it also, we have a likelihood of wanting other people to see that and want to come and join it. But if we allow ourselves somehow to take the shortcut and be a bit impersonalistic, then people, they will see that, and they will see here, well, they don't seem really to be that much affectionate. There don't seem to be any bonds of affection here. They seem to be a bit distant, and there's not so much exchange. They don't smile so much. They don't seem to enjoy themselves in the company of each other. And that's a problem, you see, because if people see like that, they will see, well, this doesn't seem happy. And if it doesn't seem happy, it's not attractive. So Prabhupada's direct instruction to us that we should chant and be happy. So in order to chant and be happy, we also have to get this point right about the devotee relationships, because we should be happy in each other's association. So we need to make a research in that, know how to make this association that we have happy, so that we can follow Prabhupada's instruction, that is chant and be happy. Because that we need to have in order to this movement to grow. If the movement is not happy, it will not attract more people, and it will not grow. So this happiness how we should be happy, this lies very essentially how we deal with each other. And this is something that requires a great deal of reflection and introspection. Are we actually up to the mark? Are we dealing properly, or are we somehow making mistakes? And that's why a devotee, it is said, he's an introspective sage, and that he always takes account of how he's behaving, what he's doing during his day, what mistakes is he making, what good things is he doing, like that. And he says, okay, the mistakes are there, I can recognize. I did this today. I just neglected this person. I didn't properly deal with this devotee, and therefore I'm feeling miserable. So that's the reason. Let me correct that. Or if you're feeling great, it's because most likely, if you have a day where you're feeling great, it's because you didn't offend anyone. Because as soon as you make an offense, you will not feel great, it's assured. Krishna will not be satisfied. You cannot offend devotees and feel great. It's just a law of nature. So if you feel great one day, most likely it will be that you did your service nicely and you didn't offend anyone. So like that. And the cause of misery is most often linked to you neglected your service, or you offended a devotee, or even just another living entity, even be it conditioned soul, karma, not executing devotional service. So we should become, in that way, observant to where we're making our mistakes, where we are, you can say, making offenses, committing blunders, and try to correct that behavior very consciously. Consciously apply ourselves to correcting our behavior. So in that way, we can see here that there should be what Krita Jyoti, she is hinting at here. Well, the parents, they should have affection for their children. And like that. And the Rupa Goswami says, yes, devotees should have affection for devotees. So it's right, there should be affection. But then we can also take, because we know that the philosophy is that we may also become attached too much in a material sense. So what is positive attachment and what is unfavorable attachment? Because we see that, at least in the case of Maharaj Chitraketu and his wife, they become very much attached to their child. And they become so attached to the child that when something happens to that child, the child actually leaves. They become atheistic. They speak these verses, Krita Jyoti, he speaks this verse in condemnation of the Creator. So we may say that Krita Jyoti is off the mark here. It's not proper. And we can say it's not proper for her to criticize. It's on the basis of lack of knowledge, improper understanding, that she is actually speaking in this way. And we may say, what does a devotee who loses his child, how does he react? So can we think of one example of a devotee who loses a child and how he reacts?
Harigol.
That is Shiva's Thakur, isn't it? In Shiva's Sangam, there was the nocturnal kirtans. And as we're going out chanting Hare Krishna's Day, it's befitting we speak about this pastime, because in the beginning, Lord Chaitanya, he introduced the Sankirtan movement in the courtyard of Shiva's Thakur. And during one of these nocturnal kirtans, then the kirtan was going on in full ecstasy, and the Lord was relishing the transcendental mellows of dancing and chanting in association of his dear devotees. And then the women, they began crying, and Shiva's Thakur, he picked up and he went and saw what was there. And they were crying because the son of Shiva's Thakur had left his body. So, but Shiva's Thakur, instead of joining them in their lamentation, as we hear Maharaj Chitraketu, he joins his wife and the maidservant in lamentation, and he completely loses himself in that. He can hardly walk. He stumbles and falls even. But Shiva's Thakur, he says, be quiet. Don't disturb the Lord's kirtan by your loud crying. You may disturb the Lord in his ecstasy. We don't want that. He is exclusively focused on the Lord, and he doesn't want any displeasure to be felt by the Lord. And he's sensing that this will cause a disturbance. He said, control yourself. Check your crying like that. And it goes on. The kirtan, it goes on until after some time. Then the Lord, he picks up that something has happened here tonight. Something must have happened. And he inquires, and he's informed that the son of Shiva's Thakur has left. And he brings Shiva's Thakur, said, why didn't you tell anything? That, my Lord, I didn't want to disturb your kirtan by giving this news, spreading this news. So the Lord, of course, what we say, he says, well, you should have said anyhow, because